our channel Knowledge Hub. Friends, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon for the latest update. आज अगर हम क्लास की बात करते हैं तो आज हम रीजनिंग की क्लास करेंगे जो कि स्टेटमेंट एंड कंक्लूजन की क्लास है। इस क्लास की अगर हम बात करते हैं 167th क्लास है, ऑलरेडी हमने 166th क्लास कर लिया है। आज की क्लास में हम स्टेटमेंट एंड कंक्लूजन करेंगे। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, अगर आप हमारे चैनल फर्स्ट टाइम देख रहे हो या अभी तक आपने हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, इट्स अ ह्यूज रिक्वेस्ट कि आप हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करो सो दैट हम जो भी वीडियोस डालें वो आपके पास सबसे पहले पहुँचे। सेकेंडली, अगर आपको हमारा वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो प्लीज़ हमारे वीडियो को लाइक, शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करो सो दैट ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग के पास वीडियो पहुँचे और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इसका यूटिलाइजेशन भी कर सकें। इन द टेम ऑफ इफ़ आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट टुडेज क्लास, तो विल डिस्कस अबाउट द स्टेटमेंट एंड कंक्लूजन। इससे पहले हमने वर्बल रीजनिंग का जो जनरल मेंटल एबिलिटी वाला पार्ट है वो हम ऑलरेडी कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं, और वर्बल रीजनिंग का सेकंड पार्ट जो कि लॉजिक रीजनिंग है उसमें भी हम ये 5th टॉपिक कर रहे हैं। बिफोर दैट आई विल जस्ट इन्फॉर्म यू दैट कि हमने सबसे पहले एनालॉजी डिस्कस किया है, उसके बाद हमने क्लासिफिकेशन किया है, उसके बाद हमने जो स्टार्ट किया है दैट सीरीज कॉम्प्लीशन, रिकॉर्डिंग, डिकोडिंग, ब्लड रिलेशन, दैट वी हैड डन योर पजल टेस्ट, सीक्वेंशियल आउटपुट ट्रेनिंग, दैट इज ट्रेसिंग एंड दैट डायरेक्शन सेंस टेस्ट, logical Venn diagram, alphabet test, and then we had done a number ranking and time sequence test। and उसके बाद फिर हमने जो कंप्लीट किया है वो हमने मैथमेटिकल ऑपरेशन, लॉजिकल सीक्वेंस ऑफ वर्ड्स किया है, अरिथमेटिक रीजनिंग किया है, इंसर्टिंग द मिसिंग कैरेक्टर किया है, डेटा सफिशिएंसी किया है, डिसीजन मेकिंग किया है, फिर असर्शंस एंड रीजन किया है, सिचुएशन रिएक्शन टेस्ट किया है, एंड वी हैव डन वेरिफिकेशन ऑफ द ट्रुथ ऑफ द स्टेटमेंट एज वेल। उसके बाद लॉजिक रीजनिंग में हमने लॉजिक किया है, स्टेटमेंट दैट आर्गुमेंट्स किया है, स्टेटमेंट अजम्पशंस किया है, स्टेटमेंट कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन किया है, और अब हम जो कर रहे हैं वो हमारा स्टेटमेंट कंक्लूजन है। ऑलमोस्ट दिस इज द 25th or 26th टॉपिक इन द रीजनिंग हियर। So first of all, it's a huge request, if you had not subscribed our channel, go through with the subscribe button so that you will get all the important lectures of the reasoning that we are using that has been come in the competition paper as well. Now we'll start with the today's session, and that we have to continue with the 68th question of the session, क्योंकि last class में हमने 67th questions already कर लिए हैं, and here with the statement that is this that it is almost impossible to survive and prosper in this world, and that in this world without sacrificing the ethics and the morality. This has been asked in the SBI PO question paper, and that is also an important paper respect to the competition wise here. The conclusion they had been given you that the first conclusion is the world appreciate some concept but may not uphold it. The second is that concept, ethics and the morality are not practicable in the life. In this question of the session here, that is clearly first is vague and so does not follow, and however the second directly follows from the given statement. So here we'll go ahead with option B will be the right answer for this question, as I am writing here also. Okay, so that will be the right answer because the second is satisfying these conditions. Second conclusion is satisfying the statement here. The 69th question of the session here, the statement has been given that the quality has a price tag. India is allocating lots of funds to education. This has been asked in the assistant grade question paper here. The first conclusion is that the quality of the education in India would improve soon, and the second is that funding alone can enhance the quality of education here. In regard of that, according to the statement that funding is necessary to improve the quality and India is allocating the funds to education. This means that the quality of the education will improve in India, and so first will follow, and but funding alone is sufficient to enhance the quality, so is not that true, and so that second does not follow, and because the first only the follow here, so we'll go ahead with option A will be the right answer for this question here, and this has been asked in the assistant grade question paper as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 70th question of the session. The statement is that the average number of the persons per household in is 5 urban areas, whereas it is in 7 in rural areas. The national average is 6 here, and that is the conclusion. First we have is that the populations per unit area in the rural areas is the higher in the urban area. The second is that more persons like in the some household in the rural areas as compared, and there is in urban areas as well. In regard of it here, with regard of it that the population per household and not the population per unit area is being talked about in the statement. So the only second follows, and while first does not. And with regard of it, we'll go ahead with option B will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 71st question of the session. The statement has been given: the interview panel may select a candidate who neither possesses the desired qualification nor the value of attribute here. An attribute, this has been asked in the bank peer question paper. The conclusion first is that the inclusions of the specialist on the interview that a panel does not guarantee that the saviors will paper select the paper, and that the second is that the interview or test has certain limitations that the matter of the collections of the candidate. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here, the clearly both the first and second correctly explain the given statement, so both follow here, and because both are following, so we'll go ahead with option A will be the right answer for this question as well. Let's go ahead with the 72th question of the session here. The statement is: in spite of a claim of the government of terrorism being underchecked, killing continuous, the conclusion first is that the terrorists have not come to an understanding with the government. The second is that the government has been constantly telling a lie. In regard of it, here the statement implies that the government is continuously making efforts to each curb the terrorism, and but it is still continues to prevail. Says first will follow while second does not, and because first will follow, we'll go ahead with option A will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 73rd question of the session here. The statement has been given that modern man influences the that destiny by the choice he makes to unlike in the post. This has been asked in the SBI PO question paper, and that is also an important paper respect to the competition wise. The conclusion first is that the earlier there were less options available to man, and the second is that there was no desire in the past of the influence to the destiny. In regard of it, clearly either first or the second could be reason for the situation expressed in the statement, and with regard of it, we'll go ahead with option C will be the right answer for this question as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 74th question of the session, that what we have to discuss here. In this type of a question here, now with these questions from 74th question here, that in each of the following questions a statement and a group of a statement has been given following the some conclusion, so you have to choose the conclusion with the logical follows with that statement. These were the types of question, that is miscellaneous types, and that is also a toughest part with regard of जो भी हमने 73rd class क्वेश्चंस कर लिए हैं उसके कंपेयर में ये थोड़ा सा टफ होगा, इसलिए आपको you have to go through with the each and every question, be careful about it, and then also you have to answer it out, and you can just answer it out accordingly. And here we'll go ahead, and the statement has been given that leaders who raise much that rise to and cry hue and the cry of but of the Hindi, and generally send their children to English medium schools. The conclusion first is that India lack a good Hindi medium schools, and the second is there is a world of different between preaching and practicing here. In regard of it, अगर हम बात करते हैं with regard of each and every question here, so here without the hard work one does not follow, and with regard of it अगर हम बात करते हैं तो let where that leaders in reference to the leaders here, and in terms of the leaders here, so here we can go through with it, and in the terms of the leaders, so it will be that the C will be the right answer. Clearly either the first and the second could be the situations that is agreed towards it, and that will be following towards it, and for that sake we can say that here that will be your the answer will be the C here, and that is the both either first or the second will be the including here. Now we'll go ahead with another one, and that is your another question, and that is your 75th question of the session. The statement has been given: to pass the examination one must work hard. The conclusion first is all those who work hard pass. The second is that hardworking person is a satisfied peak. The third is that the examination causes some anxiety, and these works are hard work overcome it. And the fourth is that without hard work one does not pass. In regard of it, this has been asked in the bank PO question paper, and that is also an important paper respect to the competition wise here. And here that will be the right answer, that is your D here, that is without hard work one does not pass here. That will be the D will be the right answer here as well. You can go through with that option D. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 76th question of the session. The statement has been given here in regard of it, and this is the 76th question. The statement has been given is that this book can help because all good books help. This has been asked in the hotel management question paper here. The conclusion first is that is this is not a good book. The B is that this is good book. C is no good book helps, and D is some good books help here. In regard of it here, if I'm talking about, so there this is good book here. With regard of it, we'll go ahead with option B, and that will be satisfying these conditions, because in accordance of this we have to follow all the we have to see that which is logically follows here, and accordingly we have to answer it. And for that sake, that is this is a good book, and according to the statement, this book can help because all good books help. So in reference to that, this is a good book, and that will go ahead with B option, and that will be the B option will be the right answer here question. Let's go ahead with the 77th question of the session here. The statement is that every library has a books, and that is the conclusion is that books are only in library. Second is that the libraries are meant for booking. That third is no library is without books, and the D is some libraries do not have modern here. With regard of that, in the case that do not have a reader here. In regard of it, if I'm asking about it, so here we'll go ahead with option C, and that is no library is without book here. Of course library होती ही book के लिए है, तो of course books सारी library में होगी, कोई भी ऐसी library नहीं है जहाँ पे book नहीं होगी. And that is another question, that is the 78th question of the session here. The statement has been given that soldiers serve their country. This has been asked in the assistant grade question paper here, and the conclusion is that men generally serve their country. B is that these who serve their country are soldiers. C is some men who are soldiers serve their country, and D is that women do not serve their country because they are not soldier. In regarding to according to this here, if I'm talking about, so here the answer would be your option C, that some men who are soldiers and serve their country. That is option C will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another question. This has been asked in the assistant grade question paper here. That is the 79th question of the session, and the statement has been given that the government is soon going to introduce a bill, and that which permits the instituting of the private university under the very strict directions. This has been asked in the SBI PO here, and that is also an important paper respect to the competition wise. If I'm talking about the conclusion, we have is the conclusion what is that the government gives direction to the to establish anything in the private sector. The second is such directions can also issued without informing the parliaments. The third is that the demand for more universities is being stepped up. The fourth is that unless and until the directions are given, the private universities can change exorbitant fees. And that the E1 is we have some private universities in our country even now. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here, and here, so we'll be going with option C, and that will be the C option will be the right answer for this question here. That will be the right answer for with respect to this statement, that the demand for more university is being stopped up here, and that will be the right answer. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 80th question of the session here, and that we have 80th question of the session. The statement is being given that none but the rich can afford air travel, and the second is that some of those who travel by their air become sick, and the third we have is that none of those who become sick that require treatment. And the conclusion first we have is that all rich persons travel by air. The second conclusion we have those who travels by air become sick. Third is all the rich person becomes sick, and the D1 is that all those who travels by air are rich here. In regard of it, we can say that the option D will be the right answer, that all those who travel by air are rich here, according to the statement what they had given you. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 81st question of the session. The statement has been given processed meat is perishable food. This has been asked in the IAS question paper. The second statement is all perishable foods are packed in the sealed tins. The third is that sealed tins sometimes do not contain processed meat. In the conclusion, while we are talking about here, and that is your first is that non-perishable foods are never packed in the sealed tins. The B is that processed meat is always packed in sealed tins, and the C is that processed meat is sometimes not packed in a sealed tins, and the D is sealed tins always contain the perishable food. In regard of it, we'll go ahead with option D will be the right answer, that sealed tins always contain the perishable food here. That has been asked in the IAS question paper as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 82th question of the session, and the statement has been given here that all students in my class are bright. The second is that Manisha is not bright, and Manish is not bright, and the C is the conclusion first we have is that some students are not bright. This has been asked in the SSC question paper as well. That is also an important one. And the B is that we have is Manish must work hard. C is non-bright, that non-bright ones are not student, and the D is that Manish is not a student of class. In this regard of it, we can say here with regard of this question that it will be, our answer will be the C here, that is non-bright ones are not students, that has been told according to the statement here. So we'll go ahead with option C will here as an answer. In regard of it, we can just say, and we can just go through with it according to the statement, and that is the 83rd question of the session here, and that we have in regard of it, we have here, and that will be according to the Manish, as of now we had said that that will be the C will be the right answer here. And with the 83rd question of the session that we have here is that the statement has been given, and that is the 3/4 of the students of the standard class 7th, that consisting of 48 days, and that has a 48 boys and 12 girls, that study in the university. The conclusion one is that the girls are poor swimmers, and that 48 boys and 12 girls know swimming. And the B one is that swimming is compulsory in the school, and the C is with 1/4 of the boys do not know swimming, and the D is the percentage of the boys who know swimming is more than that of the girl, and the C is that is none of these here. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here, so here with reference to it, we'll go ahead with option D will be the right answer, that the percentage of the boys who know swimming is more than that of the girl. As you can see, 48 boys and 12 girls are that known swimming here. Now we'll move ahead with another one, and that is your 84th question of the session here, and that is the statement we have been given. That is, as you can see here, that the statement is that every man should have his identity card with him. That card should mention his blood group, complete address, and the telephone number for contact in case of serious accidents takes place. For the conclusion one, that blood it cannot be transferred until its group mentioned in the card. The second is that the police needs the information, especially which when the accident is fatal, and that has been asked in the SBI question paper. The C is that in the case of the emergency, he may forget his address and may that need the card for the contact number. And the D is that none of his supposed to forget his phone under any circumstances. So here we'll go ahead with E1, that is the when the seriously injured person is helpless to tell his blood group. This information would suffice to indicate the required blood group. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here, and with reference to this, the answer will be the D option, that will be the right answer as of now. But according to me, that will be the answer, E will be the right answer, that when the seriously injured person is helpless to tell his blood group, the information would suffice to indicate that required blood group. That is the mandatory, and that will be the right answer here for this question. Let's go ahead with the 85th question of the session. The statement has been given here that a forest has as many as sandals trees as it has Ashoka trees. 3/4 of the trees are old ones, and half of the trees are the flowering stage here. And now we'll go ahead with the conclusions here. Here with regard of it, the conclusion we have is that all Ashoka trees are at the flowering stage. The B is that all sandals are trees are at the flowering stage. C is that at least one of the half of the Ashoka trees are old, and the D is one of the half of the sandals trees are at the flowering stage. And the E is that none of these here. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here, and in the reference of it, we can say here as the answer would be the B option will be the right answer, that all the sandals trees are at the flowering stage here. Let's go ahead with 86th question of the session. The statement has been given here that in a class of the trees, three-fourth of the boys plays a football on a half play cricket, and one-fourth of those who play cricket and do not play football. Even though, and that has been asked in the bank PO question paper, the conclusion first is that two-thirds of the boys play only football. The B is the one-fourth of the boys play neither cricket nor football. One-third of the boys play neither cricket nor football. The D is 1/8 of the boys play neither cricket nor football. And the E is that 2/5 of the boys play only football here. In the regard of it, if I'm talking about here, so here with regard of it, we'll have an E option, that is 2/5 of the boys play only football here. And then next we'll go ahead with another one, and that will be the another statement. This has been asking the bank PO question paper, as I told you. 87th question of the session. The statement has been given as ability is poor man's worth, and that is wealth, and that is the conclusion first is that a poor man is always able. The B option is that a poor man has an ability to earn wealth, and the C is that a wealthy man is always able, and the D is a poor man can earn a wealth if he has ability. And this has been asked in the sections officer examination paper, and that is also an important paper respect to the competition wise if I'm talking about here. And in regard of it, we have to answer accordingly, and with respect to that, the answer would be the option D will be the right answer, that a poor man has an earned wealth if he has an ability. And the option next question that we have is your 88th question of the session here, and that we have the statement is that Hitesh told Mohit a ghost lived by the people tree on the outskirts of the village. The conclusion first we have is that the people tree grows on the outskirts of the village. The B option is that the ghosts live on the people trees. The C is that Mohit must be afraid of the ghost, and the D is Hitesh perhaps believe in the stories of ghosts. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here with reference to all these, that the statement has been given here, and accordingly we have to answer it. And with regard of it, that as I told you here, that it will be goes to the option D here, and in the reference of towards it, and that will be also the D option will be the right answer, that Hitesh perhaps believes in the story of the ghost here. And that is the another one, that is 89th question of the session here, and that is we have that I watch TV only if I am bored. And the second statement, I am never bored when I have my brother's company. And the third is that whenever I go to the theater, I take my brothers alone. This has been asked in the IS question paper as well, and that is also an important one here. And the conclusion we have is that if I am bored, I seek my brother's company. And B is if I am not bored, I do not watch TV. C is if I am bored, then watch that is TV. And the D is that if I am bored with my brother, then I watch TV here. So here with regard of it, the question, if I'm talking about according to the question here, and in terms of the question, so here with regard of it, the questions, so we'll go ahead with option D as well. And here also the answer would be the option D, and that is if I am not with my brother, then I watch TV, as it is told by in the statement here. And that is the 90th question of the session here, and that is the statement has been given here that most of the politicians are liars. Harish tells lies. This has been asked in the SSC question paper as well. The conclusion first is that the Harish is a politician. The second is those who do not tell a lie are not politician. The third is some politicians do not tell a lie. And the fourth is that you can only benefit or by telling lies. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here in reference towards it, so here we'll go ahead with option B here, and that is there those who do not tell lies are not politicians. And here with we'll go ahead with option B here. So with regard of it, we'll go another one questions, and that is your 91th question of the session. That is also an important one, and even though all these questions plays an important role towards your competition process and preparation, so you can just gone through with that. And if you had not get into it, so you'll have to be gone through with it, because it is all important, and that plays an important role as well. Let's go ahead with the 91st question of the session here. Here we'll go ahead with the 91st question of the session. The statement has been given that Shyam is not the father of Hari. The second statement has been given that Hari is the son of Suresh. Third is that Suresh has three sons. The conclusion first we have is that the Shyam is the son of the Suresh. Second is that Hari is the brother of Shyam. The C is that Suresh is the father of Hari. And the D is Shyam has no children. In the reference to this question here, we'll go ahead with the option that is Suresh is the father of Hari. That is that is option C will be matching with regard of it the statement according to the statement here. Let's go ahead with the 92th question of the session here. The statement has been given that all members of the Mohan's family are hard, and that is in reference to the that are honest. And the second is that some members of the Mohan's family are not employed, and the C is that some employed persons are not honest, and the D fourth statement has been that some honest persons are not employed. In regard of it, this has been asked in the IAS question paper, and that is also an important paper respect to the competition wise. The conclusion first is that all members of the Mohan's families are employed. Second is that employed members of the Mohan's families are honest. C is that the honest members of the Mohan's family are not employed, and the D is that employed members of the Mohan's family are not honest here. In reference towards it, so we'll go ahead with option B, and that is that employed members of a Mohan's families are honest here. Now we'll go ahead with the 93rd question of the session. The statement has been given here that the data given by the US Labor Ministry indicate that till the year 2000 there will be a shortage of 100,000 programs. A spokesman from the industry said we should understand there thoroughly. America needs India program, and this is not only the questions of the investment but also of talent with which the Indian program are equipped, and this has been asked in the SBIPO question paper, and that is also an important one here with regard of respect to the competition wise. The question we have, the conclusion we have here is that in other sectors also there will be a shortage of the talented laborers till year 2000. And the B is that India programs are the most talented in the world, and the third is that Indian programs are available on comparatively less salary in comparison to the programs from the other countries, and the D is in spite of entering with a huge capital with the software training sector, that they should not be able to meet its own need fully. And the E here is that the Indian software market is well equipped to send the programs to the other countries. In reference to here, we'll go ahead with option B, and that is that Indian programs are the most talented in the world here, and that is option B will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 94th question of the session, that what we have to run through with it. And as you can see here that the 94th question of the session, the statement has been given here that the only students can participate in the race. The second is that some participants in the race are females. Third is all females participate in the race are instead invited for coaching, and that has been asked in the SCRA question paper as well. The conclusion first is that all participants in the race are invited for the coaching. Second is all participants in the race are males. C is that all students are invited for coaching, and the D is that all participants in the race are students here. In regard of it here, all the participants in the race are students. That will be the option, and D will be the right answer for this question here as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 95th question of the session here that we have here, and that is the statement has been given here that all scientists working in an America are talented. Some Indian scientists are working in America. This has been asked in the income tax and central exercise question paper here. The conclusion first they had given you here is that none of the Indian scientists is talented. The second conclusion they had given you some talented Indian scientists have migrated to America. The third one is that all talented scientists are Indian, and the D is that fourth one is that some Indian scientists are talented, and the conclusion correctly drawn is an R. We have to follow accordingly, and according to the questions demand on it, and we have to answer accordingly as well. And with regard of it, we have to be focused on that which conclusion correctly draws from it, and इसमें एक भी हो सकता है, दो भी हो सकता है, तीन भी हो सकता है. Totally depend upon the conclusions, and here for that sake the answer would be the second and the fourth, and that second and fourth will be the right conclusion that is satisfied from the statements here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 96th question of the session here. 96th question of the session, the statement has been given that few shops on the road have a neon light, but they have signboards. That has been asked in the SCRA question paper as well. The conclusion first is that some shops have either signboards or the neon light. Second is that some shops have both signboards and neon light, and the third one is some shops have no neon lights, and the fourth is that some shops have no signboards here. In regard of it, if I'm talking about here, so here the answer would be the second and the third here, that will include here, and that is second and the third will be right the answer for this question. 95th question of the session, the statement has been given that Amit and Subhash are friends. Subhash is friendly with Amit and with all, and Amit has many enemies, and Rahul and Amit do not like each other. So conclusion first is that Amit and Rahul and Subhash form a clique, and the second is that Rahul and Subhash are friends. Subhash is friendly with Amit's friend, and Amit and Rahul are both friends of Subhash. In regard of it, with this question here, the answer would be the second and the third and the fourth. The second and the third and the fourth, these all satisfied with the statement. So second, third and fourth will be right answer for this question here. As I told you कि वो दो या दो से ज़्यादा भी हो सकते हैं, तो here that is इससे पहले वाले में दो हुआ था, अब इसमें तीन है. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 96th question of the session here. The statement has been given that all watches sold in that shop are of high standards, same of the HMT, that watches are sold in that shop. This has been asked in the central exercise question paper as well. The conclusion first is that all watches of the high standard were manufactured by HMT. The second is that some of the HMT watches are of high standard. Third is that none of the HMT watches is of high standard, and the fourth is that some of the HMT watches of the high standard are sold in that shop here. In regard of it, reference to its, the answer would be the second and the fourth will be the right answer for this question and for this conclusion here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 99th question of the session here. As you can see here, the statement has been given: a wise man saves for a rainy day. A rainy day signifies an adversity. The conclusion first is that a fool squanders everything, and that second conclusion is that a wise man is likely to get into the adversity, and the third is a clear day signifies a prosperity. In reference towards it, the answer would be the first and the second here. That is first and the second, and that is first and second will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 100th question of the session here. The statement has been given is that the foreigners in India with out of a valid work permit, or with the permitted after Indian employees in the building industry in the Jordan do not prepares or valid work permit, and this has been asked in the income tax and the central exercise question paper as well. The conclusion for this we have is your all Indian engaged in building the industry in the Jordan with the deposits of India, reported of India, and the second we have a few industries in the building industry in the Jordan will be deposited. The third is the bulk of Indian in Jordan will be reported to India, and India employ its building industry without a work permit or with the deported from India. The conclusion correctly draws in or what we have to answer here. In reference to the Jordan, in the case of the Jordan here, as what we are talking about, so in this that has been asked in the income tax and the central exercise question paper, and with regard of it, this answer would be the second and the fourth, and with regard of second and fourth, the answer would be the second and fourth. So we'll just go ahead with second and fourth will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the another question, that is a 101th question. Already हमने century पार कर लिया questions की, so there are some condition that has been changed. In these type of following question, there are some statements followed by the conclusion that has been drawn from them, and choose the conclusions which appropriate suits to you the most correct, and that has been asked in the MBA question paper as well. The 101th question of the session we have is that the Taj is in Agra and Agra is in Delhi, India, and therefore the Taj is in India. This has been asked in the bank PO question paper. The answer is true, and B is false, and the C is can't say. In regard of it, of course the answer will be the true, because of course you also know that the Taj is in Agra and the Agra is in India, and the conclusion is therefore the Taj is in India. So yes, that is true, and that option A will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 112th question of the session here. 112th question of the session: the presence of calcium in milk makes is white, white stew is white, and rice is also contain the calcium, and that is true, can't say, and false. In regard of this question here, the answer would be the false, because you can't that is sorry, not false, the answer will be the can't say, क्योंकि कह नहीं सकते, क्योंकि कैल्शियम की वजह से मिल्क वाइट होता है एंड राइस भी वाइट होता है, तो क्या उसमें भी कैल्शियम है, तो ये कह नहीं सकते, इसलिए वी कैन द आंसर वुड बी द कांट से है हियर, एंड दैट हैज आल्सो बीन आस्क्ड इन द MBA क्वेश्चन पेपर हियर. Let's go ahead with the 103 question of the session, that hydrogen is lighter than oxygen and hydrogen is lighter than helium, so therefore the oxygen is the heaviest of the three gases, and this has also been asked in the MBA question paper. The option A is false, B is true, and C is can't say. In regard of it, yes, the answer would be the can't say. We can't say these things. So here the 100, because this has not been mentioned in the statement, so we can't say that it will signify it. And 104th question, that people who are bald and are generally on intelligent type and intellectual type, and that a man is bald and therefore the Arun is an intellectual. This has been asked in the MBA question paper here, and the answer is that probably true, false, or can't say. Yes, probably true hai. We can't say in the confirm manner, but yes, it's probably true here. Now we'll go ahead with another one, and that is another question here. As you can see, that is the 105th question of the session, and the question we have is Jatin, Kamal and Navin are three mountaineers. Jatin is a Kamal's brother and Kamal is a Navin's brother. Navin is not Jatin's brother, and so therefore Navin's is Jatin's sister. This has been asked in the MBA question paper as well. The options we have is false, true, and can't say. In regard of it, the answer would be yes, true, and that is the 106th question of the session. The statement has been given here: a triangle has a 3 angles, the square has a 4 angles, and conclusion is that polygon has many angles. The conclusion drawn as the definitely true, B is definitely false, either probably true or probably false are irrelevant, and this has been asked in the income tax question paper here. In regard of it, if I'm saying that it is irrelevant, and that is option D will be the right answer for this question, and this has also been asked in the income tax and the central exercise question paper here. Let's go ahead with 107th question of the session, and the statement has been given here that some persons are weak in mathematics. All those who are weak in mathematics are musicians. The conclusion first is that some musicians are weak in mathematics. The conclusion drawn as the option A is that definitely true, irrelevant, probably true, and definitely false. In regard of it here, with regard of that is definitely true here. That is option A will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, that is another statement here, and that is some very effective medicines are made from spider-man. The poisons of snake is also used for the curing the certain diseases, and that is the conclusion here that has been given here, and that the first conclusion is being given that all poison cure some of the other diseases. The conclusion drawn definitely follow from the given statement, and that is the B is that does not follow from the given statement. C is probably true, and the D is can't say. In regard of it, if I'm talking about with the respect to the question here, and here in talking about with these respect to questions that would be in reference to the snakes, the poisons of the snake. So yes, we can't say here, and that will be the option D will be the right answer for this question. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 109th question of the session here. The statement has been given that water boils at 100 degree. The second is that water freezes at 0 degree. That has been asked in the income tax and the central exercise question paper as well. The conclusion is that at low pressure water boils at lower temperature. The conclusion is drawn here from, and that we have here for that. The option A is definitely true, B is definitely false, C is either probably true or probably false, or is irrelevant. In regard of it here, the answer would be that is option D, that is irrelevant here. Now we'll go ahead with 110th question of the session. The statement has been given: during the volcanic eruption, the molten lava oozes that it is stresses. That the second is that the lava comes from the under the crust of the earth. The conclusion first is that the inside of the earth must be very hot, and this conclusion is drawn from the first is here definitely true, probably true, definitely false, and of course irrelevant here. In regard of it here, in reference to this, we can say that definitely true, and that is option A will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 111th question of the session. And the statement has been given that oxygen is a gas. Second is that this cylinder contains gas, and the third the conclusion is that the cylinder contains oxygen. The conclusion drawn is, this has been asked in the income tax question paper and the central exercise question paper. Option A is relevant, B is definitely true, C is either probably true or the probably false, and the D is yes, definitely a true false here. In regard of it, in reference to the oxygen, so it could be either probably true or probably false, and that is option C will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the another question, and that is 112th question of the session here. The statement has been given that pyramids date back to about 300 BC, and lots of golds and other valuable were found in them, and China has no pyramids. The conclusion first is that the China cannot claim a rich past, and the conclusion follows from the given statement, and that is the second one is that does not follow from the given statement, is probably true and is probably false. In regard of it here, in reference to this, we can say that does not follow from the given statement, and that is here that will be, or that is does not follow from the given statement, that is option B will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with 113th question of the session here. The statement has been given here as the persons of the modest means try to have house of their own, and that is since buying or constructing a house is an expensive affair, so they are trying to save the money in all possible way, and that is the third one is that here after the years of the saving they release to the, although they have saved the amount they had planned to save, and it is sufficient if not basically then not for the constructing a house here. In regard of it, the conclusion we have is that the growing rates of the land and the building material that shattered their dreams. The conclusion first we have is that follow from the given statement. Second is does not follow from the given statement. C is irrelevant and is probably false, and that is option A will be the right answer, that is follows from the given statement. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 115th 14th question of the session. The statement has been given that freedom fighter get a Tamprapatra, and that second is that Krishna was freedom fighter, and that conclusion is he got a Tamprapatra. The conclusion is drawn. This has been asked in the income tax question paper and the central exercise question paper as well. The options we have is that is valid, irrelevant, invalid, and probably false here. In regard of it here, and the reference to these questions here, and that will be valid here, that is option A will be the right answer for this question as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 115th question of the session here. 115th question of the session. The statement has been given that only those young men smoke who do not go to the college, and second is that only those young men go to the college who are not smart. The conclusion first is smart young men do not smoke, and the conclusion drawn is the A is that probably true, definitely true, probably false, and definitely a false here. In regard of it here, if I'm talking about so that the conclusion will definitely false, and that is option D will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 116th question of the session. The statement has been given is that the drugs obtained from the that herbs are very useful in curing the diseases. The second statement is some herbs are used by the beauticians as well. The conclusion is that the patients who take the herbal drugs become beautiful. The conclusion is that follows from the given statement and does not follow from the given statement, is probably true, and none of these. In regard of it, if I'm talking about, so with regard of it does not follow from the given statement, and that is option B will be the right answer for this question here. And now we'll go ahead with another one, and that is your 117th question of the session here. And the statement has been given that the dogs do not bark on the arrival of the friends of the family. And the second is that when A entered B house, B dog started barking. So conclusion first is that E is the B's enemy, and the conclusion is follows from the given statement is probably true, is probably false, and does not follow from the given statement. Here with regard of it, the dogs that we can say that does not follow from the given statement, and that is option D will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is the 118th question of the session. As you know, the statement has been given that the no confidence motion is often allowed to be debated upon, and there was a no confidence motions last week. The conclusion is that it was debated upon by the parties concerned. The option A is that definitely true, probably false, definitely false, and can't say here. In regard of it, we can say that it would we can say that we can't say here, and that is option D will be the right answer for this question here. Let's go ahead with another one, and that is your 119th question of the session here. Before starting with this question, we have some conclusion, the criteria to solve these types of a question here. With regard of it, that in each of the following questions, a conclusion is given followed by the two statements that is labeled A and B, and give your answer as that it has been asked in the MBA question paper as well. In regard of it, the 119th question, the statement is that if the statement A alone is needed to draw the conclusion, the conclusion will, and that you can, if agar A statement hoga, then you will go on through with option A, and if the statement B alone is needed to draw the conclusion, you can just go with B option. If both A and B are needed to draw the conclusion, you will go with C, and if both A and B are not sufficient to draw the conclusion, you can go with D. This has been asked in the MBA question paper, and that is also an important one here. Now we'll go ahead with the 128th question of the session, that he looks dangerous here. The option the A is that he has a lean and hungry look. B is he thinks too much. In regard of it here, if I'm talking about, so with regard of it, the option will be A, that if the statement A alone is needed to be drawn the conclusion, we'll go ahead with option A, and that is he has lean and hungry look. Okay, the 121, this has also been asked in the MBA question paper as well, and that is also an important one here. Now we'll go ahead with the 121th question of the session here, that shaving is the smoother if some soap is applied with warm water. This has been asked in the MBA question paper. The A is that the brushing the soap or is make lather increase in the time it takes to shear. The B is that the face also gets a wash on it shaved here. In regard of it here, if I'm talking about, so that the statement first is enough, and that what we go with option A will be the right answer for this question as well. Let's go ahead with another one, and that has been asked in that is a 122th question of the session here. Here we'll go ahead with the 122th question of the session, that is the spices deteriorate after the prolonged boiling, and this has been asked in the MBA question paper as well. The A statement is that the essential oils in the spices easily evaporate. The second is spices are put in the pickles to add to the flavor. In regard of it, we'll go ahead that the statement first is enough, and that is option A will be the right answer for this question here as well. Let's go ahead with 123rd question of the session, that sometimes a single observations makes in a recall increment, and that events which have occurred in the part, and this also has been asked in the MBA question paper as well. The statement A is that man has a gift of memory, and the second is that man is basically a dreamer. In regard of it, the statement has A is only enough, and that will go ahead with option A will be the right answer for this question here. 124th question and the last question for the session as well, that the plants can also be sick. A is that only mammals can ill, and the B is improper nutrition will create an abbreviations in the plant's growth. This has been asked in the MBA question paper as well, and in regard of it, we'll go ahead with option B will be the right answer for this question here. Now in this class, as I told you, we had end up with your that is the statement and conclusion class, and now we will further move on, and we'll discuss more on in the related topics, that is the another concept here. As of I told you that reasoning has been divided into the two parts, and that is the verbal reasoning and the non-verbal reasoning. In the verbal reasoning, as I told you many times, that verbal reasoning is also divided into two parts, and that has been like verbal reasoning is divided into two parts, that is your general mental ability and your logic reasoning. In the general mental ability, we had covered up the 20 topics, that is analogy, classification, series completion, coding, decoding, blood relation, puzzle test, sequential output tracing, direction sense test, logical Venn diagram, alphabet test, number ranking and time sequence test, mathematical operation, logical sequence of words, arithmetic reasoning, inserting the missing character, data sufficiency, decision making, assertions and reasons, situation reaction test, and verification of the truth of the statement. That what we had covered up. In the logic reasoning, we had covered up logic, statement argument, statement assumption, statement course of action and statement conclusion. आज की क्लास में हमने कंप्लीट कर भी दिया है. The next coming class will discuss about deriving the conclusion from the passages, the theme detections, question statement, miscellaneous logical puzzles. That what we have to discuss here. And after that, we will discuss the non-verbal reasoning. In the non-verbal reasoning here, that what we have to discuss approximately 20 topics here. Then there also, that is your series, analogy, classification, analytical reasoning, and in the terms of analytical reasoning, then mirror image, water image, embedded figure, completion of incomplete patterns, figure matrix, paper folding, paper cutting, rule detection, grouping of identical figures, cubes and dice, dot situation, constructions of squares and triangles, figures formations and analysis, and then practice question paper. That what we have to discuss for your practice as well, that you can improve in reasoning. And first of all, it's a huge request to all of the students to please go through with the subscribe button, and please like, share and subscribe our channel so that many and maximum people can get the information at once, and even though you can also enjoy the video as well. And बहुत सारे बच्चे मैथ्स के क्लासेस के लिए बोल रहे हैं, so I will be providing you that also, no problem. but जब आप कोई भी क्लास के मैथ्स के रिस्पेक्ट में या किसी भी सब्जेक्ट के रिस्पेक्ट में बात करते हो, प्लीज़ मेंशन द क्लास एज वेल एज द बुक एंड द बोर्ड नेम ऑफ कोर्स, बिकॉज क्योंकि बोर्ड डिफरेंट्स होते हैं तो डिफरेंट बुक्स होती हैं प्रिस्क्राइब्ड उसके लिए. तो कुछ बच्चों ने मुझे रिकमेंड बोला है कि लाइक दे वांट द मैथ्स क्लास एज वेल, so I will be providing you that also, not a problem. Okay, but you just mention me that or from which board you are and from which class you are belong to, then I will be providing you that also. And it's a huge request, after the reasoning class complete करने के बाद I will be providing you the maths lectures also that has been coming in the competition paper, क्योंकि मैथ्स कंपटीशन में भी आती है. तो अगर आप मैथ्स बैकग्राउंड के हैं भी नहीं और अगर आपको कंपटीशन क्लियर करना है तो एटलीस्ट दैट मच बेसिक्स कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपको पता होना चाहिए, तभी आप उसको अच्छे से क्लियर आउट कर पाओगे. क्योंकि वो ये नहीं देखते हैं, उनकी जितनी नेसेसिटी ऑफ द मैथ्स है तो वो तो आपसे पूछेंगे ही, चाहे आप मैथ्स बैकग्राउंड के हो चाहे नहीं भी हो. तो प्लीज़ उसके लिए भी आपको स्टे ट्यून रहना पड़ेगा. एंड प्लीज़ गो थ्रू अ सब्सक्राइब बटन and like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and give a suggestion on the comment box. Thank you.